What's going on? This is Matt from Sun Theory once again, and today I want to talk to you about casual riding shoes. There are a couple key features I look for in riding shoes. Even casual shoes, you want at least these basic features to protect yourself out on the streets. Obviously, adventure boots or a dedicated street boot are probably going to offer a little bit more protection, but they're a little bit cumbersome when you actually want to ride out to dinner or pick up some groceries or do errands with. So having casual shoes can be a really awesome advantage, and they're still fairly protective. So first, let's start off. Three of these are riding shoes, one of them is not. I'm going to show you exactly why one of them I would never ever ride in. You should not ride in boots or shoes that aren't motorcycle specific. So here I have my Lems boulder boot. This is a boot that I really enjoy wearing for hiking. It's a really comfortable barefoot shoe, but I would never wear this on a motorcycle. And the reason being is because one, there's no padding here, but even more importantly, there's no supportive shank. So everything by CD, Core-Tech that I've seen, TCX, they have some directional plate so that the boot can't fold in half. Now, I don't like touching things that have been on the floors of public bathrooms, so I'm just going to use a paper towel real quick. But basically, a common thing that happens when you get thrown off a bike is you hit like this. And if your foot is not supported with the boot, it can actually fold. So I've met a guy who went down on the highway once. Not a huge wreck, somebody just clipped him and he went down, and just the speed of going from the bike to the pavement folded his foot in half. His toes touched his heel. He broke and dislocated all 5 metatarsals. Also had a number of other injuries, but had he just had a better shoe on, is my point. And by the way, he wears very good protective boots now. Had he just had a better boot on, that damage would have at least been mitigated. I can't guarantee that he wouldn't have been injured at all, but that damage would have at least been mitigated, because if your shoe can go like this, so can your foot. That is not something you want. So moving on, I have a couple shoes / boots here that I've used throughout the years. The first one being these. These are a little bit older. I actually got these on clearance. I think these are the Jam Airs by Alpinestar. Really comfortable, pretty nice. The insoles leave a bit to be desired. They're not the most comfortable that way, so you probably have to swap those out if you have chronic pains like I do. This did have a little bit of support on the ankles, so I always like seeing that. I like seeing some padding on the ankle just in case you take a tumble. And these have composite toe and heel cups. The important thing about that is some people just ride in steel toe boots, but the thing you have to understand is that steel can bend, and if it bends, it doesn't always bend back. Even if it does just compress a little bit, it can cut off the circulation on your foot or your toes long enough that you might have to amputate them when you go to the hospital. With composite, they'll just either rebound or they'll crack apart. They're not known to just bend and hold your foot in a damaging position. The reason motorcycle boots all use composite is because of that. They'll either just spring back or just break altogether. So this is a pretty solid boot. One of the downsides is that it doesn't really have a good quick entry system, and I'm a little bit lazy. I've also had hip surgeries and stuff though, so bending down is not my favorite activity. So I really like having quick entry shoes. But you can see this still has quite a bit of structure. It's not going to fold back. Tons of support. So even though it's a casual shoe, it's still going to offer a lot of protection. This is my Climb Ridgeline. Now this is the model that's been discontinued. They replaced it with a newer version of this, but basically this is a highly vintage shoe. I think it comes in around $230 now. Prices are always changing, so it could be different by the time I actually post this video. But this is the same deal. You can see there's a lot of resistance in that folding back. That's very important. This has actually a soft armor in it. The official scientific term is a non-Newtonian fluid, which is basically gel-based. But what that means is as it warms up to your foot, it's gonna bend, it's gonna mold, it's gonna feel really comfortable. But just like D3O, this XRD protection is going to harden if you hit it. So that's the property of non-Newtonian fluid-based armor. It works really well. So if you take a tumble in this, you're going to have all the protection that you're typically going to see in a nice riding shoe, a nice casual shoe. You're going to have the composite heel, composite toe, and then you're also going to have the satin armor. This one is also really convenient because it has the BOA system. I really like quick injury stuff. Again, bending down kind of hurts my back and my hips, so it's really nice just having this, just crank it down. And if the BOA system breaks, you can get replacement dials. I haven't had to use one yet though, but from what I understand, you can get replacement dials and laces. It's just a little bit time consuming to replace. It might take you an hour or so if you're not experienced. Like I said, haven't actually had to do it. I just know they sell spares, so I'm not too concerned about it. BOA claims that these are about 10 times stronger than laces. The other thing that I like about it is there's nothing to catch on the bike when you're riding, nothing to catch on your foot peg or your shifter. What some people don't know about BOA is you need to tighten them down twice. So that is something that's a little weird to some people at first. They think that the boot loosened up. But what happens is in order for this system to function, there has to be not a lot of friction for the cable. So what's happening is after you tighten it down and you walk around for a bit, the load is dispersed throughout the entire boot, throughout all the eyelets, because in laces there's friction kind of holding it in place on each eyelet. This one, it doesn't really have that. So when you tighten it down, you want to walk around a little bit, maybe just give them a couple more turns before you get on the bike, and you should be good to go. So this is the Climb Ridgeline. Like I said, there's a newer one out, but this has been a very great boot. Insole, the stock one is plenty comfortable. It has their nest fit system. What that means is it basically forms your foot a bit. It's pretty supportive. I haven't had the need to swap them out. So this is an awesome vented summer shoe. And then moving on to the last shoe that I've worn / boot. And these are just casual stuff. I do have venture and off-road boots as well, but I'm gonna make a video about that at some other point. This is the Icon Stormhawk. So waterproof. This is really nice to have both in the wintertime or just when it's wet. And it does breathe really well as well. So E-Vent fabric is what this uses. It does not use Gore-Tex. But from my understanding, E-Vent, and it's, I don't know if you can see it in there. Maybe I'll put the logo in there, but it's lowercase e, capital V-E-N-T. They also back up their membrane with a 1-year warranty from what I understand. So if at any point this leaks, you should be able to warranty it through them. I don't have any experience warranting these personally. I've sold a ton of them and nobody's ever come back complaining about a leak. So they seem to pull it up really well. I had a coworker that rode in these for pretty much an entire year. He didn't have a car, so he just rode year round, wintertime, summertime. And he said it took 13 months of daily use for water to finally get through this membrane. So anecdotal, yes, but I've also found these to perform really, really well. You can see it also has the BOA system just like the Climbs. D3O on the ankles, so a little bit impact protection there. I've actually crashed in these boots, so it's going to have a little bit of scuffing on the front from hitting the pavement and sliding a bit. I think you can kind of see it more, but there's a little bit of dirt. You can kind of see a little bit. They held up really well. I still wear them. But yeah, you can see there's still a good amount of resistance. I don't know if this has necessarily a directional shank, but you can see it doesn't fold very easily. So there's still a lot of resistance and structure there. A lot of shoes like the Cortex Slayers or the CDs that are coming out, they use a directional plate. So it'll allow you to walk, the boot will still flex, but it's not going to allow it to fold back the other way to result in an injury that one guy got. One downside to these boots in particular was that the insoles do kind of suck. The stock insoles were not doing it for me. So I threw a pair of footprint insoles in here, which basically came from the skateboard and snowboard world. They just help dampen vibrations and give it a little bit more structure and allow me to stand on my feet all day if I wear these to work or wear them out and about. So these I actually will sometimes wear in the wintertime just as a casual boot as well. It is a little bit on the stiffer side, so something more like this is going to be more comfortable. I've gravitated a little more towards these recently, but once in a while I will throw these on just as a quick boot because they really are that comfortable once you get them set up properly. And by the way, most shoes that have laces do at least have some kind of tie off or mechanism or elastic to tuck the shoelaces underneath. I know this Alpine Star had one, and yeah, it's actually right here. There's a little pocket, so once you tie it, you can tuck it. So laces aren't the end of the world, but it's definitely more convenient having this. And so yeah, composite toe, composite heel, structure in the sole so it can't flex back, a little bit of padding on the ankles, and you definitely want something that's going to stay on your foot too. You want something that gives you a little bit of space in front of the toe, so if you do hit something, your toe's not going straight into the boot and breaking it through that boot. You want a little bit more space, which is also why these aren't the best for walking, because I did size up a little bit just so I can have that space and not hit my toes in the front in case of a wreck. When I did wreck, I was very glad that I sized them that way. Yeah, so you want a little bit more space in the front, but you also want to make sure they're secure. I've also met a guy who went down and he was wearing a Timberline boot, and unfortunately it came off right when he went down, and he slid. I don't know how far, but it was enough to shave down his heel to the bone. So yeah, don't ride without proper foot protection. It's really not worth it. And it's the same story every freaking time. People don't think they need it, and then somebody in their group gets injured, and then everybody comes into the shop buying the next day because they don't want that injury. Like, just skip that process. Get yourself at least one pair. If I were to choose one out of all these, I'd probably choose this one, just because even though they're waterproof, they still do breathe very well. The only limit is like when it's above 90. I just hate heat. I really don't like being super hot. So vented is nice in those scenarios, but realistically, Event or Gore-Tex you could still wear year round as long as you don't wear cotton. In fact, Climb said that if you use cotton with their Gore-Tex sock or their Gore-Tex boots, it's not going to work. So you really need to use like wool, polyester, or some kind of synthetic blend so that it can wick moisture away, get it away from your foot. Want more information on that, please check out my video on different fabrics and how they perform. It's on my channel. So yeah, if you like this, if you found this informative, please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment. I always try my best to get back to people and answer questions to the best of my ability. Thanks again. This is Sen Theory, and I'll see you in the next video.